Hi guys, my name is Keith Narades, known as the leader and superior of Club LASM, aka lover of animated shows and movies, and I'm here with Jason.
Hey there, everybody. I'm Jason, the cartoon fan, semi-popular YouTuber and Twitter Space hoster. I mean Twitter Space host because I don't think hoster is a word. But yeah. Glad to be back on here again for the first time in a while. I know it's been a bit since my last appearance here.
Colby. Colby, are you there? Hey, Colby, what happened to Colby? Wait. How the... Oh, there's more! Okay, thank goodness! Animated Abe, can you hear me?
Hey.
And of course, Colleen.
Happy Halloween, my lovelies. Hi, my name is Colleen. I'm a queer artist and animator, and I'm here today to talk about my developing series, Oakwood Hollow.
Alright. So first thing first, how are we doing this lovely Friday afternoon?
Tired.
I'm sleeping myself as well, but I said I'd come, and so here I am.
Wait, Jason, what happened? Jason.
Yes?
Never mind.
So far I've been a little busy, like I haven't done much really, but thankfully I'm finally back. Like editing really had me busy. Like there are times I was editing and there are times I wasn't. I'm a bit slow on the editing process of, recording and stuff like that, but other than that, I'm doing good.
That's good.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention the Happy Day in Hell song. Did anyone by any chance was able to listen to the song?
No, it came out when I was in school, and then I completely forgot about it.
What is Happy Day?
It's a Has Been Hotel thing.
Oh shoot, I haven't heard it yet.
Yeah, apparently I heard it and I really loved it. That song was teased during New York Comic Con, but now it's finally out.
Ooh, I'll definitely check it out when we're done recording here.
Yeah. With that being said, we should get to your presentation. That is your ideal sketch pitch. That is Oakwood Hollow. So Colleen, take it away.
So this is my mini pitch for my series Oakwood Hollow. So welcome to the town of Oakwood Hollow. It's a horror comedy series about a group of teens who live in a former mining town in Pennsylvania that's now known for its ghost stories. And the strange part about that is that every single one of those stories, every single one of them, they're all true. So the show follows 16-year-old Carlos Ryan Martinez and his friends, and they all have this shared gift which I'm tentatively calling the sight, which is the ability to see the spirits that haunt the place they call home. And they use these abilities to help the town's restless spirits finish their unfinished business and cross over into the afterlife. And because of these strange abilities and their connections with the town spirits, they've kind of been labeled as freaks by the town. They're very often called freaks, and they've gained a reputation as social outcasts. But when the group of them meet, they discover that they aren't alone in their experiences, and there are others like them. And when they all come together, there's nothing they can't do and no haunt they can't cleanse.
That's amazing. That's a great idea.
Yeah, it sounds like a really creative premise. Feels to me like a mix of Gravity Falls and then the two Vizzy Pop series. Except that I'm not really that big of a fan of the two Vizzy Pop series. I know they never really clicked with me all that much, but I do like the basic idea of both of them, and having them combined with the supernatural, mysterious aesthetic types of beats. It sounds very appealing to me. I'd be interested in seeing that.
Thank you. A lot of it is actually inspired by Gravity Falls, and more recently The Owl House. They're two of my favorite shows of all time. Alex Hirsch and Dana Terrace, they're super good at writing stories, in my opinion.
Me too.
Maybe that's why they dated for a bit.
For a while, yeah. Alright, so that being said, should I move on to the characters?
Of course. Let's get to know more of the characters.
Awesome. So the star of the show is a teenager named Carlos Ryan Martinez. He's a headstrong kid who marches to the beat of his own drum. He's generally a laid-back, go-with-the-flow kind of person, and he has a sarcastic, kind of smart sense of humor. He was born and raised in the Hollow, and he knows all about its history and haunts. As a result, he's no longer afraid of ghosts or pretty much any other supernatural creatures. He mostly just feels sorry for them and sympathetic towards their situations. He does tend to get frustrated pretty easily. He has dyslexia, which makes reading and learning difficult, but he works really hard to find ways to accomplish his goals. He has a bit of a reputation as a troubled kid, and he got into fights pretty often as he grew up, but those fights usually stemmed from fighting back against bullies and defending his friends or defending any kids who couldn't defend themselves. And for his specific psychic ability, he has the ability to gain insight on past events in a spirit's life through touch. So, like, if he picked up a book, he would see a vision of a person reading it, or if he was walking down a hall and, like, brushing his hand against the wall, he'd get a vision of somebody else walking down that hall. Something
Wow.
like that.
Wow.
It's kind of like my main character.
Yeah, when I heard about that part, it immediately reminded me of Wednesday. Like the Netflix series of
Really?
Wednesday. Yeah. Because on the Netflix series of Wednesday, she also had like the vision, like she could see from future and past tense, you know?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Another thing I have not seen. I'm very behind on a lot of media.
Oh, you and me both. You and me both.
I wish I had the time to watch more stuff, but I don't.
Yeah, I
Well,
say
I
I'm
mean,
gonna watch this, but then I just forget about it.
Yeah.
It's the same deal for me. I can really only focus on one or two things, like every month or so right now. I'm still caught up with college.
Like, I remember how rough that was in college. Like, I'm working now and I have probably less time for a lot of stuff. But yeah, on to the next character. We've got Maya Williams, a compassionate and creative girl who wears her heart on her sleeve. She and Carlos have been best friends since they were really young. They're like joined at the hip. And Maya serves as the more calm and level-headed between the two. She's usually the one to like bring him down if he gets riled up. She tends to have a better head for words and writing than she does for math, due to her dyslexia making understanding math and numbers difficult for her. So while Carlos has like reading dyslexia, Maya has math dyslexia. She's extremely passionate about music and art and carries a sketchbook just about everywhere she goes, and it doubles as her songbook. She works part-time in her mom's coffee shop, and she'll occasionally host and perform during open mic nights. And she is able to receive visions of places and objects relevant to a spirit. Like, she might get an image of, like, the room that a spirit died in, or a childhood toy that was precious to the ghost. It usually depends on the spirit.
Wow, that's amazing.
Nice.
Like it's whatever place like at that spirit died, and she might get the vision, or does she might have the vision of how they died, or like
Not necessarily how they died. That's kind of a rule. That's one of the rules for the ghosts in Oakwood Hollow's universe. A lot of them don't remember how they died. So the group's kind of job is to sometimes to help them like figure out the nature of their death. So the visions they get would usually be like clues to lead them to their conclusion, basically.
That's interesting.
The question is, how did they die?
Well, there's a lot of different ways they could possibly die.
You haven't found out a definitive answer?
Not a definitive answer yet. One of the reasons they could still be like tied to the land of the living is they don't remember how they died, or their death might be traumatic in some way, or they want answers as to why they died.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a very imaginative stuff.
It's such a mystery that not even the creator knows.
Well, that's why it's in development. All right, next up is Andy Maxwell. Andy is the younger of the Maxwell twins by about 7 minutes. She was diagnosed with autism at a pretty young age, and she moved to Oakwood Hollow with her family the summer before their sophomore year. They spent most of their life being afraid of ghosts and the supernatural, but they're slowly learning to embrace the strange things that happen in their life. She generally doesn't trust people easily, and she's cautious about the idea of making friends, partially because her and her brother were pretty, bullied in the past. But once you, warm up to her, and once she warms up to you, she will never abandon you if you manage to crack her shell. As for their ability, they dream about key events in a spirit's past, and on extremely rare occasions, they'll dream about things yet to come.
Oh, that's cool.
It's awesome. It's not every day. Like we definitely look for autism representation animation, and especially the kind of autism that you're describing, because I feel like all of 95% of depictions of autism in animation kind of fit the same bubble. So, like, this one is so different from all the other ones. My eyes lighted up as soon as you said autism, but then when you actually went into detail about the character, I was like, oh, wow, this is really great.
Thank you. Yeah, Andy's a lot of fun for me to write. I think she's been my favorite character to write so far.
Oh, like, so what? My question is, like, when you further on get into development, what was your favorite part about Andy when you like first drew her along with the twin?
I think my favorite part for Andy was just figuring out her character, because she's a psychic medium, but there are two things about her personality that kind of combat that. First of all, she's afraid of the supernatural, and she's generally a little more skeptical when it comes to haunts. Like, she'll see a bowl of cereal falling to the ground, and instead of thinking oh god, it's a ghost, she'll be like, oh god, my cereal fell on the floor for some strange reason. Gravity, am I right?
Yeah.
Until she actually sees a ghost doing something, she'll be a little cautious about immediately jumping to conclusions about it.
I see.
That's cool. I mean, you gotta have them reason character.
That is true. Now on to the other half. We've got Ben Maxwell. And if you were to ask Ben, he would say that he's precisely 7 minutes and 19 seconds older than Andy. He's a proud nerd and not afraid to show it, and he's a firm believer in being his most authentic self despite what anybody thinks. In contrast to his sister, he's had a major love for the paranormal for most of his life, and he had a strong desire to learn as much about it as he can, in no small part due to his ADHD. The supernatural is basically a special interest for him. He's usually the one to resolve conflict in the group and help his friends through arguments and generally keep the mood light. And for his ability, this also has to do with a rule in Oakwood Hollow's universes. Ghosts can't really speak. They can say simple phrases, singular words, but they can't utter full sentences anymore. So Ben can use his body to basically channel a spirit's energy through himself and give them the voice that they lost when they died.
Oh, I see. That's good.
Awesome. I do like you're describing all these different characters with their different things. I do like how you're putting in the effort to having characters with all the different kinds of neurodivergency, because a lot of the general public who don't know better often assume that all neurodivergency is just autism, which isn't true.
Yeah.
So like I said, that's good. I'm really happy. I really do wish that there are series, and also the fact that there's more than one neurodivergent character, when in most pieces of media, but I feel like animation is also worth there's usually only one character who they pick to be neurodivergent, kind of like how back in the day, back in the 90s, there was the one character who was this specific race before thankfully that started getting more diverse. So yeah, that diversity, I do appreciate it. It's really cool. I like it.
Thank you. That makes me happy. Yeah, actually, little fun fact. The reason I gave one twin autism and one twin ADHD was because I actually have both of those. So I kind of wanted to make examples of different aspects of both types of neurodivergency.
I get it, because I would probably do the same if I ever had a homegrown creation, except that in my case, it's actually, I have autism, and my youngest of my older brothers has ADHD, so yeah.
And given the fact that it's an indie show, I really like how we're all getting creative freedom of writing neurodivergent characters into the positive light. So that's a plus.
Well, yeah, it's partially because I do want general folks who can relate to these characters to have a positive example. even though they, of course, have flaws. But I do want them to have, like, an example of someone who they can, like, relate to. And I can definitely relate to, like, just wanting, like, decent representation of neurodivergent people and queer people and people like me, basically.
Me too.
All right. And next character, we've got Naomi Yamada. So Naomi comes from a pretty well-off family that's, like, pretty heavily involved in Oakwood Hollow's politics. She grew up in the same classes as Carlos and Maya, but she never worked up the courage to talk to them. She instead just ended up hiding her abilities from everybody, basically out of fear of being made fun of. And it eventually got to the point where she ended up in the wrong crowd to, like, protect herself, basically. So she became part of the Mean Girls crowd, unfortunately. She hates bullying people, but unfortunately, that old demon peer pressure made her pretty passive to it. But behind her passive demeanor is a creative girl with a love of writing, monsters, and fantasy stories. Her biggest desire is true friendship and understanding, along with wanting to accept herself for who she truly is. And she has the ability to enter and interact with other people's dreams. Only with explicit consent, of course. I don't think she'd want to do that without permission, even if she could.
Oh, jeez. I love the fact how Naomi's birthday is literally the same day as mine. Like when I first read her character.
So you got some really creative things. I really do like it. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to explain in depth without a script to rely on, but I do like all the ideas you're bringing up so far.
All right, and last but not least, we've got Robin Santos. Santos?
Yeah, Santos. I
Robin
think
Santos.
yeah.
Robin is an outgoing and extroverted person, and she's always seeking new thrills. Another newcomer to the Hollow, she quickly finds friends in the main cast due to their shared psychic abilities. He's captain of the high school's roller derby team and skates just about everywhere he goes. His skates are like glued to his feet, essentially. She's extremely outspoken and not afraid to speak her mind. Sometimes, too, not afraid to speak her mind, which sometimes gets her into trouble. They're also extremely loyal to the people they love, and they'll fight for them at the drop of a hat. And while she can't necessarily see ghosts in the same way as the rest of the cast, she can't really use her eyes to see ghosts, like where the characters would see a full body apparition, Robin would probably see like a vague person-shaped shadow, basically. But she's able to perceive the energy of both people and spirits with every other sense of her body. Like, she might feel like a cold chill, or she might feel warm and comforted depending on the vibes of a person or spirit, whether they're malevolent or benevolent.
Yeah, I really starting to like this because I feel like for Robin it could be her plot point that if she can sense any source of danger, it could be good.
The contrasting abilities you described are cool. I like hearing that. It's very imaginative. I really do think that's something that either Cartoon Network or Disney Channel would have made back in the day in regards to the premise and the characters and things like that, except that Disney Channel, I mean, they technically could, but they've kind of moved on from shows like Gravity Falls and Owl House. And, you know, that's okay. I mean, I do prefer the more variety that we're getting with the recent output, but Cartoon Network, yeah, because of the Discovery merger with its parent company, it's in a really awkward state right now. But I do feel as if one of those two, like a few years back, that's where this idea of yours probably would have wanted it picked up by a real, like one of the professional networks.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. That makes me really happy to hear. I think the main reason I want to produce Oakwood Hollow independently is because I want creative freedom of my own stories. And I'm also worried about it being canceled mid-show on a cliffhanger, like they did recently for several other shows that, like, for example, on certain streaming services that I will not name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I really did hate the fact that it happened.
I'm aware of the challenges with making an animated indie series, but I still have, like, goals and aspirations that I want for this show, and I want it to be as authentic as I can make it.
Yeah, because given the current state of Hollywood is at, I'm really glad that everyone is starting to go into this path of
Yeah,
making it
I'm
an indie
glad.
series.
It's a give and take situation, and I do feel like the give is much more than the take in your eyes. And I admire that. I appreciate that kind of ambition. But me personally, when it comes to my own ideas, I don't know. I mean, I'm not the most creative person myself, so I'm okay with a little shift in direction from not just my peers, but whoever I'm employed by. But I know that some people aren't willing to do that. It's just not my thing. But I admire people who do have the mindset of doing a lot better if I do this idea on my own.
Like I said, I am aware of like the challenges that come with making an animated series. Like, I'm aware that animation is not cheap, talent is not cheap, but I'm working towards like making it happen, and I've been working hard for that. So I'm doing my best.
Nice.
Yeah. So as for the themes for the show, Oakwood Hollow has themes of friendship, found family, and belonging. I want the show to speak to anyone who might have been labeled as different or weird throughout their lives. As I mentioned earlier, like growing up neurodivergent and queer, I didn't have a lot of great examples of people like me in media, and the few examples I did have were not very good or not like explicitly neurodivergent and or queer. And while I do want the show to be aimed at like teens and young adults, I still hope I'll be able to like teach folks valuable like lessons about growing up and finding acceptance. I want people to know that there are others like them who will understand and support them. So for my current state of the pitch, at this point I have a few sample storyboards ready as an example of character acting that I sort of made for practice. And I'm currently rewriting the script for the pilot, and after I finish revising the script, that's when I'll begin the process of storyboarding the episode, followed by a search for a team of people who can help with production work and animation and voice acting. And I'm also in the process of brainstorming some ideas for like mini comics that I can use to introduce more people to different aspects of the story, like the characters and some of Oakwood Hollow's history and stuff. And I'm planning to have the story be majorly serialized with like a few episodic episodes sprinkled in, especially during the first season. Most of the first season is going to be, I think, like most
Getting to know the characters.
Yeah.
Getting to know the kid. Yeah, akin to like the first seasons of like either Amphibia or Summer Camp Island.
Yeah, letting folks like dip their toes into the show. But I do kind of plan on still making sure there's like some sort of small connection to the main plot and episodic periods, just to make sure that the audience knows that the main story is still taking place. Again,
yeah, I get it. Again, just like Amphibia and Summer Camp Island.
Yeah, and Gravity Falls had instances of that too. Like, for example, like the Woodstick Festival episode of Gravity Falls, where Stan was like sewing a rainbow wig onto a big white gorilla. He was like, putting a rainbow wig on a big white gorilla. And you could see the bandage on his hand like, that he got from building the portal that he was making for his brother. I want to leave like little hints to that in certain episodes.
Wow.
Little hints to the main plot so the audience knows we're still working on it. We haven't forgotten about this. This is just a small break to calm down.
Like leaving out minor details for people to point out, and it can make a bigger plot thread for the future episodes. You know what I mean?
Nice. Like, I mean, I do like having that ability to get the actual time to fully soak in the atmosphere in regards to what to expect from this series. And that's the reason why I love Amphibia the most. Out of the big three of the lore-based Disney TVA shows, despite having the smallest start of the three, because I do think that having those humble beginnings of getting to know the ins and outs of everything before taking the actual story into gear is like, it was handled the best there when compared to the other two. And it made me grow to appreciate the characters a lot more than for the other two, even if I do think Amphibia is, my opinion, the king out of all of them. Like, yeah.
I definitely agree. It's nice to like dip your toes into some other aspect of the show that you're watching. Like, not just focus on like the characters saving the world. It's nice to just like see some little downtime moments and see them like interacting with friends or interacting with the town or
Like character
learning
development
about the place it takes place
and world building.
Like I like that. I like that shows. And yeah, that's it. That's Oakwood Hollow. If anyone wants to keep up with my ongoing projects or support me in some way, I've got socials on the last slide, and I also have a Patreon and Coffee if you want to support me and see some extra stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. That's all I got. That's all I got.
My!
Awesome.
That was amazing. So
you guys, thanks. Do you guys have any other questions about the show?
Oh, not really. For me, I do think, like I said, really great stuff. Creative, imaginative, atmospheric. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to come up with a bunch of descriptors on a whiff, but yeah, I do think that your idea has a lot of merit, and I really do hope to see it brought to life someday.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
So for your pitch, Oakwood Hollow, like I know you were influenced with Gravity Falls and the Owl House. What further motivated you to write the first season of Oakwood Hollow?
I think I first got really inspired to like write and get stuff down through the Percy Jackson series. Like that was a major reason I decided that I wanted to like create stories and design characters and design a world for the story to take place in. That was like a big motivator for me. Is just I like creating and I like showing people like what I can do, and I hope to leave a good impression on people. That's a big reason. Just the joy of creating, to quote Five Nights at Freddy's. That's a big reason why I create a lot of my stuff. Just because I find joy in it, and I want to spread that joy to others.
Yeah, so me too. Like I really loved the pitch. Like immediately when I heard about all the characters having these abilities, like to see ghosts and like having these visions of ghosts, what immediately came to my mind was Paranorman. Like I literally just watched that movie not long ago, and that immediately Paranorman. That immediately came into my mind when I heard about all the characters.
Oh yeah, I love Paranorman. That's one of my favorite Halloween time movies. That was also a big inspiration for the show.
I like Coraline.
Oh, Coraline. Dude, I adore that movie so much. Recently, I've been getting into, like, learning about the little snippets of the other world that Coraline visited.
So I'm fearing that as you further you're gonna write, it's gonna get even darker. Oh, jeez Louise.
I confirm nothing. I will deny nothing. But there's some stuff. There's some stuff.
I'm scared.
Good.
Hope none of these kids can get traumatized from all this.
Oh gosh, that'd be terrible, wouldn't it?
Yeah. With that being said, thank you so much for presenting your ideal sketch pitch that is Oakwood Hollow. I wish you the best of success for the pilot.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. Thank you so much. This was an honor to be here.
Me too. Plus, I really can't wait for the future to come for the show as well. Oh, and I forgot to mention, since next month is Indie Animation Day, I really hope you participate there.
Yeah, I've got something else in addition to Oakwood Hollow that I'm thinking about, like introducing.
Alright. Thank you all so much for your questions and actually taking the time to listen to her idea for sketch pictures. With that said, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, click on the notification bell so that way you won't miss out on any more of the animation content with me and my friends. Woo! With that said, I have to pack up and ready to go because I have to go to the condo for the weekend. But with that said, I will bid you peace. Bye! Say bye, everyone!
Bye.
Say yes.
Bye.
Oh my goodness.
Take care, everyone.